Hey everyone, I'm Will. I'm back to do some more SQL challenges with Danny's case studies, or part of the 8-week SQL challenge. Today we're continuing our work on case study 2 on Pizza Runner. Today we're going to be going through section B. So if you remember last time, Danny has made himself a new business delivering pizza using runners to go and help to make those deliveries for him. So we're working with this relational diagram. So we have our different our customers, our runners, and their different orders, as well as various pizza names and toppings and recipes to work with. And again, we know how these tables link up to each other by these lines here. This kind of gives us useful information on how we can join these tables together. Today we were tackling section B, this runner and customer experience. So we've got 7 questions to tackle. So Danny provides you the SQL interface where you can go and write your queries, so you can go and query your different SQL tables, find your results. For me, I'm going to put all this data into Snowflake and I'm going to query it there. Okay, I'm in Snowflake. I've made my schema for my pizza run. I've got all my tables here, which I'm now going to select from and start doing these questions. Okay, so I've got my questions written up. I can get rid of this side panel here, focus on the query. So now we can get started. So how many runners signed up for each 1 week period? So if I go back to my schema diagram, I think this is where I'm going to want to be. I want to be in this runners table here where I have the ID and the registration date for each runner. So let's query that. Okay, so I've run that query. What I've got back here is our runners and our different registration dates. So we want to know how many signed up in each 1 week period. So for this, I'm going to use a function called date trunk. I'm going to convert this into the first of the week. So I go date trunk, and then I want to say what type of date function I want to truncate by, which I want week, and I want this registration date column. So I run that. I've got this data come back over here. So this converts this date into the first of that week. In our question, we actually want the first of that week to start 1st of January. So we're going to need to add some days to this to make it the first of January to be the start of our weeks. So if I go and add 4 days, let's see how this goes. Okay, so I've got this query run that it's come back, so I can see this is working. So this one is registered first, yeah, and this one's for that week of the first. This one falls into next week, and runner 4 into the following. Okay, so how many runners signed up? I can do a quick count. There we go. So we can see for our different weeks. So the first week we had 2, then 1 in the following weeks. So question 2, what was the average time in minutes it took for each runner to arrive at the Pizza Run HQ to pick up an order? Okay, so with this, what we can see is if we go back to the actual task, we can see that, hey, and the pickup time is the time step at which the runner arrives at the Pizza Runner HQ. The distance and duration fields are related to how far the runner had to go to deliver the pizza. Okay, so we can use this, so we're going to be using this pickup time here. So for my work, what I want to know is I want to know this pickup time and the difference between this and the actual order time, the time the order was placed. So this timestamp here as well. I can see also on this diagram that this is coming through as a timestamp, whereas pickup time is coming through as a text character. So I'm going to have to do some type conversion as well. This is the issue I want to be aware of. So I've got some here that are nulls as text version of null. So I can do where pickup time is not null to filter those out. So run that. Those are gone. But this column will still be considered a text field in this case. So I need to do type conversion on this side. I go dot for shorthand in PostgreSQL to convert types. I go timestamp. Now with timestamp, you can't just call it timestamp on its own. You need to give it a reference to the time zone. So if I underscore and go no time zone, you'll see it turns green there, meaning that type conversion is okay. Let's give that a run. Okay, so we can see that this come through okay, that works nicely. Okay, now I just need to go and join this column, join this data to my customer orders. Okay, so I've got those two done now. So we've got that, which is great. So now what I want to do is take these two away from each other. I can't just do time minus time, it usually gives an error. What I need here is one called time diff, which you can see there takes two time. What part do we want? What date time do we want to separate out? And then these two functions. So the average time in minutes. So I want to do this. I want to do minute. I want to do my. I want to take these two columns. Okay, so I can see here I'm getting negative values back, which is fine. I'm just going to switch these over. Okay, so I can see that's working now. That's coming through nicely. Now I need the average time in minutes it took each runner. So if I count these out, I can bring back in my runner ID. Okay, so I've got my time difference there. Okay, question 3. Is there any relationship between the number of pizzas and how long the order takes to prepare? So I can use something I've used earlier in question 2, this time difference between the order and the pickup time, so that we can take that as the preparation time. I can use that, but I need to know my orders, the number of pizzas as well. So if I go for you see here, like we'll have this issue come up a few times. So this you may have run into where this timestamp, trying to convert this to a timestamp, but you have that text field of null in there. So we just need to filter that out. So use the where clause here and just say where pickup time is not null. Okay, so that's come through. That's our usual time difference. Now I want to aggregate this because I want the number of pizzas. So I'm going to go count. I'm going to count pizzas and then you're going to go and I want to know how long each one takes to prepare. As we can see, it's preparation time for the whole order. So for example, order 4 here, we have 3 pizzas. They don't sum up to 30, it's just 30 in total. So I'm going to use the term max here just to pick one of these values. Okay, so I've got this as a result now, so I can see my different orders, number of pizzas, and how long they took to prepare. What I'm going to do is just take an average time, prep time for the number of pizzas to explore whether there is a relationship between these two. So I'm going to put this query into a common table expression or CTE. Okay, so here we can actually see this relationship. So when you have one pizza, it's much quicker. If you have 3 pizzas, it tends to take quite a lot longer to prepare. Okay, which makes sense to us. So yeah, so that's question 3. So there is a relationship. More pizzas, longer time to take. Okay, question 4. What was the average distance travelled for each customer? So in this case, I want to dive back into that runner's orders table. Dive in here, click OK. I can see I've got these different distances. The trouble is sometimes, again, this text is not nicely prepared. So sometimes it's a number, sometimes it's got kilometers at the end, sometimes it's a decimal, sometimes it's null. So to work out this average distance, we're going to need to clean up this column a little bit. So I do where. First of all, and go distance doesn't equal null. That'd be a good starting point. So get rid of those. Now, for my distances, I can. So if I have my distance, what I can do is I can replace the text here. So if you use replace, now you find your column, you find what you're trying to place, in this case kilometers, and then replace that with nothing. So it's sort of like there's no function for remove, but you could just replace the text with nothing. It's the same theory, same functionality, and that's a syntax error because I need a comma there. Okay, so I've got now my different distances here. Only trouble is they're coming back as text. You can tell that because it's left aligned here. It should be right aligned here. So to do this, as before, I can use my two semicolons and change this to a numeric field. So a numeric data type lets you specify how many digits there are in the actual term itself, as well as the number of decimal points. So I can enter one here, let's say 3 and 1. So I want a maximum of 3 numbers with at least one decimal place. So I can run this. You can see that working there. Similarly, if I was to change this, say I change that to 0, see that will round those numbers. That will just get rid of that decimal place. But I want that for my distance. So I'm going to put 1 back in there. Okay, I'm going to call this as distance. Okay, what was the average distance traveled for each customer? Okay, so I've got my distance. I just need to go and find those customer IDs again. So I need to go back into customer orders to get that. Okay, so I've got my customer IDs, I've got my distances traveled. I now just need to go and say, change that to average, AVG. Update my alias to say average travel, average distance. And because I'm doing an aggregation, I need to go and add that group by customer ID. Okay, so there we go. I've got my average distance traveled for each customer. Okay. Okay, question 5. So, what was the average Okay, question 5. What was the difference between the longest and the shortest delivery times for all orders? Okay, so I've got a field here called duration. Again, like distance, it's full of text. So we've got mins, we've got minutes, we've got nothing, we've got null. Sometimes there's a space, sometimes not. What I want to do is try and extract these numbers from this. So like before, I could use replace and I could find all the different variation of minutes or mins in this case, or minute. But I don't want to. I know there's better functionality there to handle this. So I'm going to go for regex. So I'll do a bit of regex, regular expression replace, which is a function here. So we can see here regular expression replace. So you find your subject, what pattern you want to replace, and then what your replacement should be if you are replacing. In this case, what I want to do is I want to get rid of all the text and just return those numbers to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a bit of regex 101. Okay, so regex allows you to do quite powerful searching of text. Here I've gone to regex 101. It's a great site for testing out regular expressions. If you're unfamiliar with these, you can see there's a little bit of quick references guide here On the left, we're going to use this to find our different characters. So, for example, I can do \d. I can do \d, and that will highlight to me any digits in my text. Similarly, I can find any characters in my text from A to Z, like that. Okay, so I can also use 0 to 9 here to find all my different numbers. But what I can use is this uppercase little arrow, a little up arrow, to find any text that isn't those numbers. So I can now go and find this text and I can remove it from my string. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so I'm back in Snowflake. I've got my durations here. I now want to try out this regular expression. This is regex replace. So we know we want to use it on duration. Our pattern is going to be what we had earlier. This code. And to replace it, I'm going to replace it with nothing. So let's give that a go. Okay, so I'm back in Snowflake. I want to use this regular expression. So I've got my regex replace. I'm going to put in here that duration field. I'm then going to add in our regular expression. And because I'm replacing, actually I want to remove the text, I'm going to turn that to double quote for nothing. Let's give that a run. So we can see that there, these just come through these different durations. If I make this a tad smaller, you can see here the 32 matches to 32 over there, which is great. Now we just got to change the type of this. So if I'm going to find the difference, I want to know this as an integer. And yes, you'll get this. So where there was no time given, this is going to come back as a null. So what I want to do is do that filtering again. So where duration doesn't equal. Okay, give that a run. Okay, so now that's coming back. So I've got that there. So I was asked for the difference between the longest and the shortest. I can do this using simple aggregation. So max and min. Okay, so there we go. We've got a time difference of 30 minutes in this case. So for question 6, what was the average speed for each runner for each delivery? Do you notice anything about the trends for these values? Okay, so I want to start with select my runners orders. So if I'm going to work out the speed, I don't have it natively here, but I know that speed equals distance over time, so I can use these two fields to work this out. So thankfully I've done quite a bit of this earlier, and we can use this. Okay, so this is our distance in kilometers, this is our duration in minutes. So what I need to do now is go and divide the two. Now there'll be one issue with this, and we'll have a look at this. So we go and just simply divide these two. Speed has come back. Okay, so thankfully SQL has gone and done the type conversion for us. I thought we might run into some issues with that, so we'll get back a decimal value or value with decimals. Potentially, when you're dividing by an int, you may just only return an int. For safety, I'm just going to put this numeric here as well, just so we're converting to numeric, just make sure that we get a numerical value coming back at the end of this. So what was the average speed for each runner for each delivery? So if I go for run ID, I then will be delivering these different orders, and then I can find the average. Okay, so when I want to do see, do you notice anything about the trend in these values? So I'm going to just order this so I can see this a little bit easier. So order by my runners and then my orders, both ascending. So what I can see is throughout my orders, so for runner one here, they went through different orders, but overall they actually got faster as the orders went on. So we'll see slightly trended faster. Similar for runner two, much faster. Runner three, not sure. So I would say for six, the trend is as the runners do more orders, they get faster. Okay, so question seven. So, what was the successful delivery percentage for each runner? So, this is where your pickup time is dependent on whether it's none or not. So, let's go and select star from runner orders. Okay, so theoretically, we're counting. So, in this case, for runner three, this was not a successful order because it was cancelled. Sometimes it was cancelled by the customer as well. So I think this one should be pretty straightforward. So if I take my runner ID, I can then do a case when pickup time equals null, then 0, else 1, end. So let's tidy this up a little bit. Okay, so we can see for runner one, this was a successful order, so was this for two, but this one it wasn't picked up, so for three we'll go with 0 for that. So what I'm going to do is sum this and then find a count of all my orders as well. So successful orders, all orders. So I can use these two to create this successful delivery percentage. Run that. Okay, so this is our percentage for those successful deliveries. Okay, so that's our solutions for week 2, section B. I hope you join me in the next one. We'll be tackling section C. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.